morning, campers. Today we're going to talk about, do we heal in a relationship or do we heal when we're single? There's a lot of information out there. I have seen tons of videos, memes, phrases. Some of them say that you need your solitude to truly look inwards and to truly heal. And some of them say that we actually heal in a relationship through a mirror and a reflection of another person. So which one is it? Because we're confused. Which one is it? So you're going to break this down today. And I do want to mention that unfortunately, I do feel like people resonate with those that fit into their situation. So oftentimes I've noticed that when people are single, they would say that, oh, I'm healing and you have to be single to heal. And then the moment they meet someone and they enter a relationship, that's, oh no, I had a revelation. You actually heal in a relationship. So let's unpack this. In reality, both of these statements are true, but context and understanding of certain concepts is important to know which one applies to your situation better. So to take a step back, let's really understand what we mean when we talk about healing, right? I personally prefer to call it a journey of self-discovery, inner work, self-understanding, understanding the meaning of life, right? So that moment when you actually try to become a better person, try to heal your wounds. If you watch me, you know that overall these are just labels and semantics, and it doesn't matter if you truly understand what we mean. But I personally don't resonate with saying becoming a better person and healing, because by default it means that you are thinking and feeling that in this moment there is something wrong with you, and in reality we are exactly where we need to be. We are perfect just the way we are at every moment of our life. So we're actually expanding. Let's call it an expansion. Let's call it a journey of self-discovery, right? So when we talk about this journey, again, inner work, discovery, let's just, for the purpose of this video, call it healing. There's a spectrum, right? It's a journey. So in the beginning of that spectrum of self-understanding, of inner work, people operate on a denser frequency, right? Whether they know it or not, they're more ruled by their wounds, by their egos, by automated patterns. They work on an autopilot due to, again, traumas, wound conditioning, unresolved issues that they've never tapped into, right? So this is sort of the first half of that spectrum. And if you watch me, you know that I love highlighting this to you guys, that as we start this journey, we start this self-discovery, we start to understand that we're not actually taking our decisions and choices on a daily basis freely from a place of a soul, but it's governed by the condition of the ego. So again, past experiences, woundings, conditioning of this world, of the society, of culture, of religion, your family, whatever that is for you in your case. And then as we start growing and going deeper within our persona, our soul, our ego, we step into a lighter frequency, higher frequency, when we start to really understand ourselves, human nature, meaning of life, meaning of relationships, and so on, so forth. So when we talk about that first density, right? If you want to go deeper, if you want to heal, if you want to discover yourself, if you want to move to the lighter density, to the higher frequencies, because that's what you prefer, this is a journey that you need to embark on your own. And I want to explain this to you from a perspective of what happens if in that moment, when you don't have self-understanding, when you're not coming from a place of your soul, from a place of really truly understanding human nature and how we operate, and you decide to enter a relationship So, first thing that you need to remember is that we attract what we are. Basic law of attraction. We don't attract what we want, what we desire, what we deserve, what we wish for. We can literally only attract what we are. So something that is of the same vibration. So if you yourself are still wounded, if you don't have understanding of self, if you have a lot of unprocessed karma in your life, and karma doesn't just mean things that we owe to the universe and we have to pay out. It may be things that we just need to learn and understand and explore, karmic patterns, karmic lessons. So if you have a lot of these things, all you're going to attract is same. So you're going to attract a partner that is also wounded, that is also lacking that deep self-understanding, that is still learning, that is still processing their karma. So that's the first thing. And for most cases, we attract also what is needed for us to learn. So if we're refusing to accept that we have certain core wounds that we need to process, through the journey of self-discovery, what universe is going to send to us is someone that's going to highlight that to us. So for most part, it's going to be a karmic relationship. Those as well can be beautiful and, satisfying at certain point to people. So they're not always, it's a misconception, it's not always traumatic, it's not always, right, nasty. But nonetheless, it's not going to be a true soul connection, because you're not attracting from a place of soul, because you're not sitting in a place of soul. You're sitting in a place of your ego. So you're attracting from a place of your ego, and that is karma. Because on that first spectrum, we lack self-understanding. People usually struggle to put the finger on themselves. So relationships become a bit of a blame game, right? If it's not working out, it's because them. If you have a fight, it's because they don't understand me. If you have a struggle or a discord, it's because they don't know how to talk. It's because they don't know how to compromise, and so on and so forth. Why does the world bring me these people? Why yet another relationship is not working? So usually on that first spectrum of density, people tend to blame others and point fingers towards others because they're not yet ready to face their own psyche and their own reflection. And if that's the case, there is no space for two-way mature communication. In any discussion, in any discord, in any disagreement, no matter how hard you will try, in the end, consciously or subconsciously, it will depend where you are on that spectrum. You will feel like the victim. You will not consciously be in a moment of understanding, okay, this is not working out with this person. So what is it within me that yet again I attracted someone that is not working out? But you're gonna be playing the blame game, right? So it's sort of gonna, in a conversation, it's always gonna be that ping pong. We're not gonna be understanding each other in discussion, in our differences, right? And what you need to understand that in these relationships, so when you are on the first part of that spectrum, you're still on a denser frequencies, you're still in your ego, as we mentioned. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna heal or learn in this relationship, but you're not gonna heal with this person. You're gonna heal through this person. And there's a big difference. So you're not gonna learn your lessons and grow and expand together with this person as you would in a true soul connection. But you're going to expand through them, through the lessons that they brought, through the reflection that they brought, through whatever is it that you were refusing to see within yourself. Again, some people do it in a conscious way. Some people, it happens in a very subconscious level, right? You will finally understand that there's something that you need to heal, that there's a pattern that you need to, break. Through this person, you will understand it, right? So it's not going to be with them, it's going to be through them. And when you are in this relationship, people sometimes feel, because again, you have to remember, if you're watching this video, you're probably on a verge, on a breaking point in between this spectrum, or you're already on a lighter frequency, because people who are on a denser frequency, they're not going to have the capacity to even understand what I'm talking about. So they're going to continue to enter these relationships. They're going to continue to post phrases about how you heal in a relationship. They're not going to be able to see that there is no deep soul connection, but the connection that they feel is an ego-based connection. So it's a wound to wound, right? And in those kind of connections, even though entering this relationship makes them feel better, they feel like they're growing, they feel like they're a better person with another person, but again, this is not healing together, this is healing through each other. And many times people feel that they're healing, people feel that they're feeling better with this person, people feel like this is an upgrade after my ex-partner, but in reality they're just numbing the wounds. They're just numbing the pain, because in those kind of relationships, the karmic relationships on a denser spectrum, healing actually happens when the relationship is ending. So usually when you are in this relationship, you have to numb. You have to numb the wounds, you have to numb the pain, you have to numb your consciousness and your awareness to even be able to stay in this relationship. And the moment that it's ending, and ignore red flags, and the moment that it's ending, you then have this big revelation, then you look back and suddenly this person and this whole relationship seems different to you than it was when you were actually in it. And this is your window of opportunity to learn. And in this window of opportunity, some people stay single to learn all the lessons, to heal all the wounds, because they actually want something better in future. And some people, they're going to have one or two realizations, they're going to learn something, but then within a relatively short period of time, yet again, they're going to jump into another relationship. And those are usually your people that say, oh, I need a break because I need to heal. And then in 1 month or 2 months, they're going to be in another relationship, claiming that you actually heal in a relationship, and this person makes you feel like you've never felt before, right? It's a sort of a self-perpetuating loop and a pattern that that most people are repeating, until the moment that you hit actually that realization that no, you cannot escape the denser frequencies when you are dating someone. You have to embark on this journey on your own. And when I say on your own, when I say single, it's really bizarre that I even have to explain this, but I want to put it out there because I know that there are still many people who don't understand that. When we say single, we don't mean that you are not in a committed relationship, but you're seeing someone, you're dating, you're occasionally going on Tinder, you have friends with benefits. No, to actually do that deep core healing, to move away from that denser frequency, to break the patterns, single, chosen state, intentional state, when you are committing to yourself. There's no dating, there's no occasional flirtation, there's no Tinder, there's no anything, because you commit yourself to you. And then you reach a point when you start to sit in that lighter frequency and that higher vibration. And this is where actually you would have done the core healing. This is where it's actually true that you can heal in a relationship. So let's unpack that. Why being in that lighter state we already can heal in a relationship? First of all, it's because when you are on that side of the spectrum, you become self-aware, you become self-conscious, you become aware of who you are, of your past, of your wounds, of your programs, everything that you work through. You're very self-conscious. You are aware that relationships are reflections, that people externally, not just people we date, but every person externally, how you feel towards them, what you think of them, how you perceive them, how you feel they treat you, is always a reflection of you. It's not them, so the finger is always on you. And in those relationships, when you are already self-aware and self-conscious, you stop being reactive, you become responsive. So when something happens in life, because you're so aware of your of your inner world, of the human nature, of the meaning of life. Again, when a trigger happens, you don't react with aggressiveness, with victim mentality, or with avoidance, with anxiety, with any of the patterns that you were previously embodying, because now you're aware of them and you've either integrated them or you are in process of integration. So when they happen, you have enough self-consciousness to respond instead of reacting. So in that moment, when you find yourself someone to be in a relationship, and another thing is that when you move to the lighter spectrum, you start embodying self-love as well. You love yourself, you cultivate boundaries, you feel good on your own, you understand that a relationship is a complement, is not a must. You stop feeling like your value depends on whether you are in a relationship or not. And by default, in consequence of that state, you only choose people who are a true soul connection, because you now are sitting in a place of soul. So you're actually recognizing that I am with this person because they make me feel better, because they numb my pain, because they numb my loneliness, or I'm with them because we actually resonate. There is a deep resonance of the soul, of who I am, my authentic self, my self-love. So when you are in those kind of relationships, you vibrate on a very similar frequency with our soulmates, true soul connections. Our authentic vibrancy and frequency of a soul is very similar. So when that is exposed, because you would have healed the ego, controlled the ego, understood the ego, so you're overall vibrating on a frequency of a soul, you recognize these people. You really feel, you stop looking through, again, your desires, your woundings, and the lack mentality, and you're not actually looking for relationships. Those people don't look for a relationship. People who heal in relationships are not people who ever look. They actually a little bit resistant. Those are people who love themselves and create their own environment that they can exist on their own, with no external people, with no friendships, with no relationships, and someone comes in and they create a disruption in their world. So they usually quite in the beginning resistant. They may go very slow, they have a slow pace. Let's get to know each other, let's develop friendship, because I know who I am, and I know what actually needs to happen for me to decide to be in a committed relationship. And if you find yourself someone who is as well in the same place, and you are a true soul connection, you don't have to be healed, perfect, completely aware, completely, right? Because you're going to be able to heal together. Because now you have the tools, right? Now you have the capacity. So those are relationships where we actually help each other grow. So how do we know that this is it? And just as normal, so first of all, the how you know whether this is going to be a relationship that will help you heal instead of the opposite is people on that other spectrum, like I already mentioned, they don't have urgency. They don't go from a 0 to 100. They don't meet someone and within months it's the love of all your lifetimes, right? These people have deep self-understanding and deep understanding of what love really means. So despite the fact that you may know immediately that this is your soul connection, because you usually do if you are in that spectrum, on that side of the spectrum, you allow things just to naturally develop, because soul has no urgency. Soul has no need to display, to show, to share on social media, to give it name, to give it label. So soul just is, right? Soul just explore. So that's the first indication that you're not overexcited, you don't have high expectations. There might be passion, there may be desire, that may be excitation of a soul, but it's not coming from a place, oh my God, this is happening, I'm gonna be with somebody, it's gonna be so amazing, right? It's more of a smooth. If you're there, you would know what I mean. So that's the first indication. And second indication that you're actually going to be able to heal with this person is that in a moment of whether it's a small discord, or it's a bit of a trigger moment, or it's a bit of a misunderstanding, you have the capacity to sit down and have a very open and very vulnerable conversation. So, in order for this relationship to happen and to heal in the relationship, two people need to be authentic. They need to know themselves. They cannot be in denial. Whoever is in denial of their own past, of their own wounds, whoever sugarcoats things, swipe things under a rug, doesn't dive deeper into the shadows, into the triggers, let's forget about it, it doesn't matter, it's insignificant, you're not going to be able to build that relationship. We have to have two people, again, in a moment of trigger, in a moment of, activation of an old wound, of a shadow, of a discord, of something that feels uncomfortable. You're able to sit down in front of each other and look into each other's eyes and have a two-way, mature communication. So I'm going to say something, and then this other person is going to really listen, feel into it, feel into how I feel, where I'm coming from, and respond. And we're going to be able to, through every discord, through every trigger, become better, grow together. In those kind of relationships where we actually can heal, there's never an argument. We never raise our voice. We never feel belittled by the other person. We never feel we don't have silent days, or we don't do silent treatment. There's no, people, I often highlight this to you guys, people who are wounded, they love to call it passion, that you're just so passionate, we fight and then we make up. It ain't passion, it's toxicity and it's wounding. When we're really ready to heal in the relationship, we're able to sit in front of each other and to really, in a moment of distress, yes, I love myself, so I want to be understood and I want to feel good in this relationship, but I equally want to understand my partner. I equally want to feel where they're coming from. We need to make sure that we're on the same page. So again, there's no discussion, there's no games, there's no childhood behavior, who wins, who loses, who has the last statement. There is complete vulnerability. Two people standing in front of each other with their naked souls. All my traumas, all my pains, you know everything about me, because I have nothing to be ashamed of. I want you to understand where I'm coming from, because where I'm going, I want to go there with you. So we have to understand each other, right? There's a very open conversation, and this is how you know. And the truth of life is that, again, going back to that first density, that denser frequency, people who live on that density, they live in denial. So oftentimes I see people who, to an outside observer, are clearly in a relationship that is karmic, that is going to end up poorly, that is a repetition of a pattern that they haven't learned. But that as they are in it, they would really convince you that they have deep understanding, that they have communication, that they just understand each other, like, right? So it's really difficult from a place of wounding to understand the frequency that is higher, that is lighter. So if you struggle, what I would ask you is, first question is, do you really know yourself and do you really love yourself? But really understand what self-love means. Self-love is when you embody love, when you have love towards everyone, when you don't play the blame game, you don't throw certain things at other people, you don't say that you weren't happy because of your parents, because of your exes, because of the world. You have deep self-love, But with that self-love, boundaries come in. So you have absolutely no issue in saying, I don't feel good in this relationship. I don't feel good in this situation. You have no issue in walking away from what doesn't resonate. So that's the first thing that you have to ask yourself. And the second thing, if someone told you that you will never be with somebody, that you will always be alone in this physical world because this is the part of this lifetime, would you actually be happy? But really, would you really deeply to a very core be happy? Would you be able to thrive? Would you be able to live your life? Would you be able, and this is where we have to be honest with ourselves, because again, denial is the biggest enemy of growth. Because only people who can thrive 100%, never even considering being in a relationship, and not because they're bitter, not because they're wounded, not because it hurts too much and it's too big of a risk. No, it's this lone wolf energy that we often talk about on my channel. I've done a video about this. I am happy. I love myself. I have a beautiful relationship with myself. I love love. I wish I had love. If I ever encounter a true soul relationship, I will welcome it with an open heart. It's beautiful. But it's not going to change who I am. It's not going to change my direction. It's not going to change the level of self-love. It's not going to influence my authentic self, because these things are already established. And only people who embody that frequency are actually able to heal within a relationship. Because again, to heal in a relationship, deeper level of self-awareness, of self-consciousness, of awareness of human nature, again, patterns, woundings, triggers, ownership of your own shadows, of your own woundings, of your own shortcomings is required to heal within a relationship with another person, and not through another person. I hope this was somehow helpful and it brought clarity. And yeah, I'm gonna chat a little bit more about this on my stories because I don't want to make this video super long, but there are a couple of extra things that I want to mention. So if you're interested, and if you're watching this video the day it was posted, you can check my stories and we're going to continue the conversation.